Good
I
morning.
I think you may have seen that Attorney Larson and I were on the phone in anticipation. But I know that you were
Well,
looking.
there's more going on here.
Yeah, I caught that just a second ago.
At about 8:30, the staff asked me if I would do a mental commitment hearing in absence of Judge Kane, who's about to go on a warm weather vacation. I thought he was already left. I said, well, who is it? I want to know. Well, it's Kevin Stroop. Pivotal, our local mental health agency for St. Joseph County, is filing a petition for a pickup order for Mr. Stroop.
They contacted me
Um,
yesterday, Judge. So I am
You're aware
aware.
of it?
I knew that was on their list of possibilities. I didn't know the status of it.
Yeah, well, for Miss Larson, I'm not gonna, as we all know, Mr. Stroop has been suffering from paranoid schizophrenia and has been an active client of Pivotal for several years. This case got a long, complicated history. We had
Judge, should you call the case or?
yes, I'll call a case. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's TJ Pine Valley Place versus Kevin Stroop. File number is 252656LT. Attorney Joan Larson is here on behalf of TJ Pine Valley Place. She's had a history with this file. It's very helpful to have the same lawyer in these complicated cases. And Meg Bauer is here from Legal Aid on behalf of Mr. Stroop. He has had a perpetual and long time bed bug problem at his apartment, and the complex has been trying to remediate it for several years. We had a consent order which didn't work, and the plaintiff attempted to enforce the consent order with a termination of tenancy. Defendant's counsel through Ms. Bauer objected. There were some technical issues regarding doing it as a violation of the consent order. So it was agreed the plaintiff would simply refile a termination of tenancy, which they have done. And this is the first hearing in that regard. As I mentioned, I was asked to do a mental pickup commitment hearing this morning as a cross-sworn probate judge. We're all sworn to cover for each other when we're gone. And I'm the judge that does the mental health pickup hearings when the probate judge is gone. I do, I don't know, several a year. And very often I already know the people because they're connected to district court cases, and that's the circumstance here. I won't go into the details, but Mr. Stroop is in very poor physical condition. He's not cooperating with mental treatment. His apartment is filthy. He's filthy. And I think he just wants to die. And
he is still receiving his mental health medication, as far as I understand.
all right. Well, at any rate, there's a hearing at 9:30 in the probate court. Judge Kane elected to do it himself before he leaves on his trip. So this is a just cause termination for the reasons I stated, a long-term problem with bed bugs in this apartment and other issues. My hope was at some point Pivotal or another agency would find alternate housing for this defendant, but he's very difficult. He's very difficult to place. I'll leave it at that. So this is a first hearing. Ms. Bauer's got a very good grasp of the circumstances, and so does Attorney Larson. So we need to set it for a second hearing. Ms. Bauer, do you have any further insight on this?
I know that Pivotal has worked on trying to find alternative housing, but there are a number of barriers, including some questions about the voucher. Ms. Larson did informed me this morning that he may have his voucher back, but that doesn't align with my understanding of how vouchers work. So I'm curious to get more information about that. At any rate, the defense would object to the allegations that they rise to just cause, and that that he has acted as they have alleged he has acted, just for purposes of covering an answer here. But we certainly don't know what's going to happen with him at 9:30 this morning, and
Well,
I
we
will
need to
submit a
set a
written
second hearing.
answer.
And as I indicated, when we were in the context of non-compliance with the consent order, there were some very technical requirements that the defendant claimed needed to be met. Now it's just a general termination of tenancy for just cause, going back several years, and the whole broad context of what was what. But I still expect this isn't going to go quietly.
Your Honor,
Yes, Ms. Larson?
I do want to let you guys know that there is a condemned sticker on his door. We did take over the property not that long ago, so I personally don't know a whole lot on behalf of Mr. Stroop, but there is a condemned sticker on his door. And Chief Hayden called yesterday and said he had went and told him that he was not supposed to be there, and he simply said okay and shut the door in his face.
Judge, first, that was not Miss Larson. That was someone I'm not familiar with who that was.
All right, well, that's,
The
why don't
property
you,
manager,
Ashley, why don't you go ahead and state, Ashley, why don't you state your name for the record?
Ashley Kasner,
And what's your position there?
property manager.
And Judge, my understanding is that this property was sold in December. I was on the phone with Mr. Stroop when Fire Chief Mike Hayden knocked on the door. He was operating in fire chief capacity. So I was actually there
Well,
for the
he's not just the
interaction.
fire chief, he's also the zoning enforcement officer. He's
That's
a
why I
fire
said
chief
in
at
that capacity.
and Constantine, he's the building inspector. Oh, this is Constantine, so I'm not sure what his capacity was.
I spoke with him, Judge. I spoke with
Okay.
him while he was there speaking with Mr. Stroop, and I spoke with him after the conversation with Mr. Stroop. But I can represent as an officer of the court that he absolutely did not slam the door in Officer Hayden's face, because the three of us had a conversation together yesterday.
I don't think she said
Officer
slam.
Hayden was there because Pivotal called 911 to attempt to get him to leave with EMS. He declined medical service. And in fact, Officer Hayden expressed to me that he made very clear to Mr. Stroop that he was there in his capacity as fire chief, and that he was not
Your
trying
Honor,
to
I have to
remove
object
Mr.
at this
Stroop.
point to Ms. Bauer putting in conversations that I was not a party to.
Yes, we're getting all over the place.
Well,
We're gonna have a second hearing on this place. At some point, he's gonna have to get out of there. The properties, we now learn, has been condemned. And so I don't know what the status is. I don't expect this is gonna be straightforward or simple. But because they're trying to find a place to put him.
But Judge, I have to advocate for the representations made about him, and so none of this
Well,
is.
that came out of the blue as in defense of you, Ashley, although it was helpful information to learn that the property's been condemned. And I was unaware of it, and I'll see what further information we can get. All right, I have a wide open next Friday afternoon, but my fear is that's too soon to put this.
In light of the fact that we don't know what's gonna happen at 9:30, and there's a lot of voucher questions, I would agree that that might be a little soon.
The
I
only thing I
understand the
will say,
plaintiff
Your
has
Honor,
an objective, though.
well, it's not an objective.
All right,
The only
Ms.
thing I will say,
Larson,
Your
what's
Honor,
your position?
I am leaving my office effective next Friday and going to work for the court. The Ingham County friend of the
You're
court.
going to work where?
Ingham County friend of the court.
Oh, okay, congratulations.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. Thank you. So I will be leaving private practice. My last day is actually next Friday. If there's any way that that hearing could be done via Zoom, I think that, I mean, this case has lingered for a very long time, Your Honor.
I apologize, but we are gonna be able to do this next Friday on your last day. Some poor other associate's gonna inherit this, but I'm gonna set it for 1 o'clock, 1:15. For February 13th. By Zoom. We don't know what his medical status is. We don't know what his pickup status is. We don't know what the condemned status is.
Your Honor,
Yes.
would that be scheduled as a second pretrial, or is that going to be the actual trial date?
Well, let's call it a second pretrial. I'm not sure we'll be ready to take testimony. I've got the whole afternoon. Well, the problem is this keeps going and going and going and this condemned. So let's set it as a trial regarding termination of tenancy.
That would then be in person, Judge.
Generally, in person is what I do for testimonial trials.
And that
Every
is,
time Mr. Stroop comes, we have to spray for bed bugs after he leaves. His health, I'm guessing he'll be able to be here. Now, you also mentioned there's new ownership of Pine Valley Place,
Yes, Your Honor.
but the new owners, I think, want the same owners were.
Yes. And I know, Your Honor, if we have to get into witnesses as far as the exterminator, she is not local. She's like 2 or 3 hours away, and so are all of her crew.
I'm going to allow this one to be by Zoom for all concerned.
Your Honor.
for purposes of the record, the defense objects to remote testimony.
All right. And you can preserve that objection. Things may change in that amount of time as things develop with the mental health case and his medical conditions and the condemnation. Their case in chief may be the fire chief came, inspected the property and condemned it. We wish to terminate his tenancy because the fire chief has condemned the property. That takes out bed bugs, a whole bunch of other stuff. But we'll see where we are. Certainly, I'm willing. I know you guys have been talking about this case. Ms. Larson, best of luck to you. You've always done a fine job representing your clients here. This has been a particularly difficult one.
Thank you
But
very
we'll
much. Your Honor.
continue it to February 13th at 1:15, and whoever your successor is. And let's see what happens today with the mental health case, what happens with his physical health. And before you leave, maybe we'll have more knowledge on how to proceed, but we'll have it scheduled for that date. All right, thank you both.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This is a first hearing in this matter. I don't have a copy of a lease, but you're a tenant at Golden Pond Estates.
Correct.
And from what it appears to me, this is lot only. You own your trailer, but you rent the lot.
Correct.
All right, the plaintiff contends, and you don't need the whole history of this. Mr. George will have to deal with this at some point. There's a difference of opinion as whether council can file this as a non-payment of rent on lot only. Some judges don't allow it. Many judges don't. The law isn't clear. I do allow it because it gives the tenant an opportunity to redeem the property. But if they actually get an order of eviction, all it does is give them the right to remove your trailer off the lot. Mr. Sickle, at the time of pleadings, you show rent to obtain possession at $1,314. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's been updated since then. Ms. Gritzmacher has made a payment here last week. So the updated rent to retain possession would be $1,614.59 with court costs in the amount of $249.20. So the total possession judgment as of now would be $1,863.79.
All right. Now, is that through January?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Now, in your judgment, you also submitted something, other money due, $300. You don't reflect that in what you just said. The rent is $1,314.59, and then you've got a phantom other $300 in there, and I don't know what that is.
Yeah, those were some repairs that were made, Your Honor. I've got the statement here. I think there's been some skirting repairs. I'm just looking at the ledger. I think that's what it is. I do have Trish, our property manager here. She may have more information as to what's all included in that.
Well, if she owns the trailer, why are you making repairs?
I'd have to ask the property manager, Trish, Your Honor. I'm not sure.
All right, there's some weird fees out here at Golden Pond that have to do with water and some other stuff that I can't always tell what they are from the pleadings. Ms. Gritzmacher, what's your position?
Your Honor, I got behind in lot rent because my bank account got hacked 3 times and I have lost possession of the money and I'm just getting it back and I'm trying to get this taken care of. I've never had an eviction notice ever in my life.
All right, well, the law says that I need to continue this matter at least 7 days, which would take us to next Friday. So let's take a look at that. Next Friday is the 30th. Are you available at 10:30?
I sure am.
Next Friday?
Yes,
Are you,
I
Mr.
am.
Sickle?
Yes, Your Honor.
And I have, Your Honor, filled out the papers for DHS to help on the payments of getting me all caught up.
All right. Very good. Now, when we meet next, it will be the 30th of December. I'd give you 10 days, or January. I'd give you 10 days from that day, which would be February 9th or 10th, be the February the 10th. And then there'll be a new month. So there'll be another $400 included in there for February's rent. I can't tell how this is broken down. They show it as $1,314.59. I don't know if all of that is rent, or it also includes these water fees and connection fees and other stuff that they have at Golden Pond. Do you agree with these numbers?
No, I don't, Your Honor. I don't agree on all these extras when a lot of us are trying and they're $60 late fee to $100 late fee. Us on Social Security or SSI are never going to be able to get caught up. It's
All right,
making
well,
it
you can't
hard.
do it. Some judges allow no late fees. They're all over the map. So, Mr.
Oh,
Sickle,
okay.
I've had this discussion with Mr. Cromendike. I can't tell how you got to that $1,314 figure. I don't know how
Yeah.
much is rent. I don't know how much is late fees. I don't know how much is water fees. I don't know how much is that sort of thing. So I'd like that number to be broken down when we meet next. Rather than just, and all of a sudden there's a $300 repair bill. I don't know what was repaired. She owns the trailer. I don't know if you were repairing your stuff. I'm not sure why she gets billed if you have to repair her water line. Anyway, there's some uncertainty here and she objects to the numbers. Also, I'd be interested to know if the late fees are in there, and if so, what are they?
Yeah, the late fees are $60, Your Honor. There are some late fees in the rent calculation.
I don't allow a $60 late. Some judges, some were doing 100. I did allow 40 and then I went to 50. But this is lot only. It's not even an apartment. The late fees are supposed to be connected to an actual economic loss. And so we may have to discuss that. Anyway, I want a breakdown of what, and Trish, for you as well, I want to know what these numbers are, how you came up with this figure. She's going to have to explain this to DHS for emergency assistance. And it's lot only. So if they get what they ask for, if you don't pay this, you don't have to move out of your trailer. They have to move your trailer. How long's your trailer been there?
It has been here, I want to say 40 years or more. It belonged to an elder lady, and I have been at this lot since 2020.
Well, as a practical matter, they don't do these as a just cause termination, which would apply a different set
I'm
of
not
rules.
sure. Yeah. I'm
Well, it's
not
not
sure,
just this
Your
part.
Honor.
They're all doing this, and so I don't know. We'll let my successor figure it all out. But anyway, couple things. I want a breakdown of how much the money is, how they came up with this figure. You need to contend with the fact there's at least going to be another $400 rent payment due February 1st with some sort of late fee. But nothing is going to happen until we discuss this further next Friday morning at 10:30. Ms. Gritzmacher, I'll see you at that time.
Okay, and it's a Zoom meeting too?
Yes, it'll be Zoom just like this.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Now, with a just cause termination, the defendant doesn't have the right to redeem the property. It's just cause to terminate because the rent has been late 3 times in a 12-month period. The landlord has the discretion to accept payment, but in that circumstance, the court orders that the defendant has 10 days to vacate and 90 days to move or sell the mobile home. And that law doesn't apply when it's done this way. So we're in the Wild West, and as far as I know, no one has actually removed a trailer from a lot. But Ms. Cantrell, let's talk about your case. We're kind of in the same boat. And let me know everybody that's here. Ms. Cantrell, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, Mr. Cantrell, in this case, you submitted documentation that the arrearage is $1,932.80 plus other of $124.45 plus cost of $249.20 for a total of $2,306. Is that still accurate?
That is, Your Honor.
And again, that's through January.
That is correct.
And do we know what the other is?
Yeah, there's couple things. So there are some late fees in here at $60 a month, and we can correct that to whatever number you want that to be, Your Honor. And then there's also some utility charges in here. There's $124.45 in utility charges that were not paid for November or December. That's what
Alright,
the
that's-
other is.
All right, well, that's straightforward.
Yeah, the
Utility.
rent, the $1,932.80 in rent includes 4 late fees at the rate of $60 a month.
Miss Cantrell, what's your circumstance here?
Well, I mean, I was making payments on my rent, but they were applying it to everything else. I had my rent paid forward, up until September 1st, but because they just kept taking money out of my prepaid rent, it threw my bills into a tizzy, and I'm still trying to correct it. I've actually been in contact with DHS and Neighborhoods Inc. to get help to get all of this caught up. It's
All
just
right.
hard to do it because they combine the water sewer bill with rent, and most places want those separate.
Yes, this park has perpetually had water and sewer problems for 50 years. And so if I understand, and there's previous cases, instead of applying your money to rent, they were applying to water and sewer costs.
Yeah, instead of keeping it on my rent. And I didn't have a signed lease with them until September 1st of 25.
All right, well, how much is the water?
I don't know because they throw my water bill all over the place. In July it was 240 some dollars, and then 2 months later it was $60.
How much is your sewer?
That's all into the water bill.
Oh, so sewer and water included?
Yeah, and sewer is usually a lot more than the water bill.
All right, well, just as a ballpark, what is your sewer and water per month?
For if I'm basing it off the last 2 months, roughly about $72 a month.
For sewer and water?
Yeah, or less. But they had 2 months, I believe it was either June, July, or July, August. They charged me for 17,500 gallons, and then the next month was 24,500 gallons. I don't see how that's possible for one home to use that much.
They have a third party contractor that measures their water, and it's unclear exactly what's going on out there. And how much of your payment is being applied to water, and I don't know what the last case didn't have a lease. This one, there is a lease.
I signed the
was
lease
signed
back in September because they
Yes.
told us they were gonna charge us an extra $50 a month if we didn't, and I couldn't really afford it.
The lease shows a late fee of $50 a month. You may be able to live with that. Anyway, so you've also applied for assistance. So Mr. Sickle, the 1932 is just rent and 4 late fees?
That is correct, Your Honor.
And when I was talking to Meg, we found 6.
Well, it's-
All right,
correct.
and then the utilities would be the sewer and water bill that we're talking about.
That's correct. Yeah, no, Your Honor, I mean, I will say it's a little bit complicated to sort all that out. I mean, we have one account that they measure, right? So the ledger that I have for the tenant has all of the tenant charges in there. So this goes back several years. So if they get a payment, they apply it to the oldest charge that's outstanding. So it's all lumped together. So to say what's been paid and what's not paid, I mean, it's not quite that simple.
I agree. So they throw some spaghetti at the wall, hope it will stick, and then the tenant's trying to figure out how much they actually owe or what their money got
Oh,
applied to.
Well,
They
well,
thought they were
we do
paying
know what,
some.
right, we do know what she owes, right? I mean, the number that she owes is the number she owes. I mean, we can argue about, well, when a amount for $400 comes in, is it for late fees? Is it for water and sewer? Is it for rent? Right, but the total amount that's shown that's owed is what's owed.
Yeah, that's the spaghetti sticking to the wall. Trying to figure out how they got to that number is not always easy. Anyway, we're gonna continue this along with the next case to 1040 next Friday, January 30th, 2026. Now, Miss Cantrell, same thing. Another month's rent and utilities are going to be due.
Yeah, and my husband works. He
February.
gets paid every 2 weeks. I have part of February put up already. His next check, I should be able to cover February and the water bill that comes out here, I think, in a couple of days.
All right.
I just have to get the help to get the water that's
Well, those are the
up
numbers,
and
1,932, 124, 249 for a total of 2,306.45. All right, I could save myself a lot of grief if I just disallowed these non-payment of rent cases for lot only. But for example, you're trying to get financial assistance from DHS and Neighborhoods Inc. You wouldn't be able to do that because it would just be a termination of tenancy. That's why I allow it. And I've said this 100 times, the law needs to be fixed either by court rule, by statute, or opinion from the Court of Appeals, but none of those things have happened. So we're in the Wild West. This part of the Wild West, we allow them to do it, but it causes lots of other problems. All right, I will see you next Friday at 1040. And Mr. Sickle, I'll see either you or Mr. Cromendike. And eventually maybe we'll work all the issues out for this park and go forward from there. All right, thank
Sounds
you.
good. Thank you, Your Honor.
This is filed as a demand for non-payment of rent. This is a standalone home on South Constantine Road inside the city limits of Three Rivers. Andrea Watson, can you hear me?
Yes, Your Honor.
Brady Watson, can you hear me? Brady Watson, can you hear me? Are you gonna have to unmute your microphone? Mr. George, what's the status here?
Your Honor, I was provided an update last week that the current amount of back rent is $3,575. There's $200 in late fees. That's at $40 a month. Total costs is $234.93. And the total amount is $4,009.93.
That is through January,
Through, January 15th was the date of the
through
update.
January 15th. All right, so there's gonna be another month calculated in here somewhere. Miss Watson, Mr. Watson, what's your position?
We are trying to save up some money to get it caught up. My husband had lost his job in October, and I found out I was pregnant and was having a really hard time at the beginning of my pregnancy and was missing some work, and my work slowed down. But he has since found a job making more money than he was at his previous job. And I am now back to work. I just went back from a 2-week layoff this week. So we're trying to get it caught up. And the property manager, Caitlin, said we could talk about getting a conditional dismissal of eviction depending on how much we had in a court arranged payment plan.
Very good. Well, the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna adjourn the matter for 7 days. We're gonna adjourn it to next Friday, January 30th at 10:50. These cases are much more straightforward. There's just rent, there's a lease, there's an established late fee, which is reasonable, and there are court costs. You and your husband are probably good tenants. It's easier to keep a good tenant in there than to move one out and move another one in. And I did mention the conditional order of dismissal. The Larkins generally work with their clients to try to get caught up. You're both employed. You wish to maintain your tenancy. If it can be worked out, it can have a conditional order of dismissal filed next Friday. Also, on February 1st, another month's rent is going to be due, and the rent is $975 per month. So take that figure of $4,009. What's actually going to be due is about $5,000. So keep that in mind. I don't know if you're asking for any emergency help from DHS or otherwise, but we'll discuss that further. We'll do this again by Zoom next Friday. Yes, you want to say something else?
I have asked DHS for help. They have denied me because my oldest daughter's dad was very abusive, and I don't have any police reports to show them to stop them from trying to make me go after him from child support, because I don't feel safe with him knowing where I live.
All right. Well, how about try Neighborhoods Inc. also.
They have told me, and at the time I applied to them, my husband was unemployed, and they told me with just my employment, I made too much.
All right. Well, there is that. You're too rich to be poor and too poor to be rich. All right. Well, let's see where we are next week. It sounds like you guys are trying to do the best you can. Mr. George, anything to add on this?
The only thing I would add, Your Honor, is that I did file a limited appearance for this hearing only. I don't
Yes.
know whether that's going to expand my representation into further hearings, but I'll get that information over to my clients and make sure that they're aware of the hearing next week and everything that was said at the hearing. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate you're doing some of these. You're seeing perspective of the issues we're struggling with, and we'll see where we go. All right, someone either will be here. The Larkins, Caitlin, their manager, she's also quite capable. But Mr. George is here for today's appearance, may or may not be here for the next one. All right, Mr. and Mrs. Watson, you're good to go. Mr. George, what's the circumstance here?
Your Honor, I was provided a update as of January 15th. The amount of back rent is $1,975. There's $120 in late fees. That's also at $40 a month. Total cost is $170.22. The total figure is
$170 and what?
22 cents, Your Honor. For a total amount of $2,265.22.
And another month's rent would be $875. Mr. Craig, what's your position?
My work slowed down a little bit. I got a little sick during Christmas time. I got COVID during Christmas, and I just got behind, and I was having a hard time. I'm by myself, trying to pay this rent. Scott's been a good landlord, and I've been, trying to keep up my rent. I got behind, man, and I haven't been able to get caught back up.
Have you asked for any financial assistance?
No, I've just been trying to work and, try to do it on my own, but I'm just struggling.
Where do you work?
I work for Hebcon Construction.
Very cold right now. All right, well, the law requires that I continue this matter at least 7 days. And so we've continued the last matter until 10:50. We're going to continue this till 11 o'clock, January 30th, 26 at 11. Again, Mr. George is here by limited appearance. He may be here or the Larkins may be back. The previous tenant who you heard is in contact with their assistant Caitlin, and they're going to try to work out some sort of catch-up plan, which means they could file a conditional order of dismissal. As you heard me tell her, it's easier to keep a good tenant in there than to move one out and move another one in. This is 214 4th Avenue. I grew up in that neighborhood. I've said this before, it's apartment 2. I learned to ride my bike no-handed on 4th Avenue on that block. I'd ride up and down the street trying to take my hands off the handlebars. I was pretty good at it one time. All right, well, you need to stay in contact with Caitlin and the Larkins, but we're going to address this further. Are you missing work right now?
We had the day off today. That winter hours are getting a little slow and our work's getting a little limited, but he's trying to keep us busy as best he can through the week.
Yeah, nobody wants to work outside at 4 degrees with a 20 below wind chill. All right, well, if worst comes to worst, you're gonna have to move.
Yeah.
When I see you next, I'm gonna add $875 to that figure. And it's gonna make it over $3,000 that you owe in rent, and you either have to pay the rent or move. I would give you a date, which would be February 10th, I guess, to move or pay the rent, maybe February 9th. So anyway, 10 days. 30. Anyway, we'll discuss that further. So my advice, stay in contact with your landlord and their manager, Caitlin. We will discuss this further, and you can appear by Zoom like this again on January 30th at 11 o'clock. All right, sir, you're good to go.
Thank you, Ron. Appreciate it.
This next matter is Riley Wessel versus Lacey Grice. This is a house on M86 in Centerville. Miss Wessel, can you hear me?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, rent here is $1,000 per month. What's the current arrearage?
For October, November, December, it was $3,000 and then $50 a month in late fees, so it was $3,150. But now we're in January and it would be another $1,050. So it would be $4,200 altogether right now.
Ms. Grice, do you agree?
I do, yes.
I do. Yes.
I have a little bit of money in my savings that I plan on giving Miss Riley.
All right, well, let's talk for a minute. Let's also calculate the court costs.
Okay.
We got a $55 filing fee and a service fee of $32.20. So the total is $87.20 in cost. Total through January would be $4,287.20. You might as well figure on adding another $1,000 for February before we get to where we get. So, all right, let me back up a minute. You intend to pay some here soon?
Yeah, I do. I reached out to DHS before we even had a court date. You know, I asked them if they could help me. They said the only way that they could help me is if I get a court date. I spoke to Miss Wessel and I told her, you know, like DHS said that they'll help me if we can get a court date.
All right, well, you've got a court date.
We got a
So I
court
want
date,
you to share
yes.
this information with them.
I applied to DHS before the court date. They denied me because we didn't have a court date. I've applied 2 separate times, actually 3 now. They denied me 2 times for being in non-compliance for child support.
I called the 1-800 child support number. They said that's an error in DHS's system and that they would email them. So then I called DHS and I told them exactly what child support had said and that they would be sending an email. They told me the SER forms are very, like tricky. Once they get denied, you have to reapply. So I reapplied, immediately got denied again for being in non-compliance. So yesterday I spent all day doing the same thing. I spoke with DHS. They said that they are going to submit a ticket, like stating that there is an error in the system so that I don't get denied for being in non-compliance. Like I don't have any open child support cases.
All right, well, we had another lady this morning that had the same sort of issues.
Yeah, I
But I'm
heard
gonna
that.
continue this for a week to January 30th, 2026 at 11:05.
I'm trying
I
to
would
get
appreciate it
DHS.
if you could both be by Zoom. If we have to do this by telephone only, we'll do the best we can. Miss Wessel, let me tell you
Yes.
some things you need to know as a landlord. If we have a hearing next week on January 30th, I'm gonna make a finding on how much the rent is, and I would give her 10 days to pay the rent, or she would be subject to being evicted. That would be on February the 9th. You don't have to evict her on February 9th. You have 56 days from that date to ask for the writ of eviction and another 56 days to serve it. So you can work with Miss Grice to try to get caught up on this back rent. But Miss Grice, you need to know that by the letter of the law, if you don't pay it, she can move to evict you. She's gonna be $5,000 plus behind. And it's gonna be very difficult for her to collect that. Same thing, she probably has someone that would like to rent this property. And so you need to stay in contact with your landlord.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
but we'll address this further. Share this information with DHS that you're gonna owe $5,287 plus 50 more.
My plan, I had asked DHS to help me with the 3150, and then I can pay January's, and then I'll be able to pay February's and kind of get caught up. I just kind of need help with them paying the 3150.
All right, well, hopefully they can give you some. I
Yeah,
did see your form that you had filed for the assistance. We'll
yeah.
see this. If we need to adjourn it again, we can, but right now I'll just leave it for that date.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Grove versus Donna Carr and Shandy Faulkner. Attorney Sprague and Attorney Bauer have been discussing the matter privately in a breakout space. I'll defer to you, Ms. Sprague. What's our status?
Yes, Your Honor, we do appreciate the court's time in allowing us to speak within the breakout room. We do believe that there may be the potential for a probation period to be entered in here. Plaintiffs has some concerns because to our knowledge, the individuals that we were led to believe had moved out were actually seen on the property yesterday, and a police officer had notified my property manager that Ms. Carr was not cooperating with police officers that were seeking Ms. Faulkner. And so, and they're regarding another issue, and they believe that she may have been harboring her. We are cognizant of the unique situation that Ms. Carr is in, and so we would like to provide some additional time to see if compliance can be made before we enter a formal probationary period. For that reason, we are respectfully requesting at least a 10-day adjournment, during which time we will get the writ over to your to the court today and make attempts to get that writ executed and ensure that Ms. Carr is complying with the removal of Ms. Faulkner and continued absence of her before we put a formal probation period in place.
All right, I received a date stamped today, a report from Chief Brinkert, the Colon Chief of Police, who's been there for a long time. he was there yesterday, January 22nd, and from the report, it's in his opinion, Miss Carr was assaulted by Shandy Faulkner and had some serious concerns about that. And Adult Protective Services was contacted. And there had been some allegation that she was there yesterday.
Judge, was this report provided to you by the officer sua sponte or by Attorney Sprague or some other way?
I think it was provided by Adult Protective Services. There's also an adult PS file. I don't know, it just showed up and it was handed to me.
Okay.
Ms. Sprague, do you
thanks.
have it?
I don't have a copy of it, Your
I'll
Honor. We
provide
were
a
going,
copy of it
I was just
to
made aware of the
both
police
counsel.
officer's presence during the breakout.
And Attorney Sprague and I have a good professional relationship, I think. So I trusted that it wasn't from her, but just kind of curious
Yeah.
where it came from.
All right, Ms. Carr, the bottom line is Ms. Faulkner and Mr. Wiltsey need to be out of there. If they have some concern that they're coercing their way in there and frightening you, you're gonna get
Yes,
evicted, you're gonna be homeless.
Yes, she has threatened to break the patio door glass if I didn't let her in. So I'm not letting her in, and if she does that, I'll just call the police.
All right, well, we're gonna adjourn this 10 days. Let's see what we got here. And I don't want anything to happen to you.
And Your Honor, if I may,
Yes,
I know Ms. Bauer has probably already coached her or provided this information, but when a police officer is at the door, if there are individuals within the home that may cause an assault, that is a perfect time, in my opinion, to present that to the police officer so that way they can clear your home and you can maintain a safe environment. And so I'm
Yes,
not sure if
over-
that's what happened, but we would just like to reiterate our encouragement of that, management's encouragement for her to conduct that.
all right, 10 days from today would be February the 2nd. Let me see what that Friday looks like to see if you guys are scheduled to be here for anything else. Probably not, but let's take a look.
And Attorney Sprague, I didn't ask you about this when we were discussing, but I don't know that we ever got a copy of the default judgment
The default.
that entered at the first hearing against
I can provide a copy today. I don't know if it was, I don't know if, I know it was uploaded on my file, so I'm not sure if it was also sent to your office. I'll confirm.
have my file in this district.
Oh, then let me see where we
Yeah, I
submitted
have a
it then.
copy dated, the default as to all occupants other than Donna Carr.
Okay.
So that writ needs to be served on her. February 2nd is a Monday.
And that
And I
writ
don't
would be
see,
effective
Ms.
immediately.
Sprague, that you're set to be here at any other time. So how about if we go to 2:45 on February 2nd?
February 2nd, 2:45. That would be perfect. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Carr, I'm gonna ask you to go into the conference room
Okay,
and I'll let you speak privately with Ms. Bauer and you can discuss your options here. Cynthia, you're on top of what's going on there on the ground. Certainly if she's seen there, she's subject to being evicted and she's a trespasser. And if she is in fact committing assault, there may be other criminal ramifications to this. But for now, we'll continue this to February 2nd at 2:45 PM. And I will see that both attorneys get a copy of this, the police report.
Thank you. And Ms. Bauer,
Okay,
I just
good.
forwarded that initial judgment over to you as well, and then we'll be in communication regarding the execution threat.
I appreciate that. And Judge, do you have the writ in front of you and
I have to submit it.
has to be
I
submitted?
do.
Oh, did
The
we submit
date
it
for the
already?
writ was
The 19th, I believe.
Yeah,
19th, yes. I
Okay.
wrote, yeah,
we'll get that over.
January 19th. That day is passed.
Judge, my understanding is that there will be a writ forthcoming, hopefully today. If your honor is still in the courtroom, or in the courthouse.
Yes, I certainly would sign it. We don't have a
Okay.
writ. So yeah, when it gets the writ, plaintiff will submit writ.
Okay. Thank you, Attorney Sprague.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Ms. Bauer.
All right. All right, thank you.